Um,
To the 20, and he's gone. Touchdown, Easton Sadinsky. The Bulldogs get the football. Unbelievable. There goes Terry. Touchdown, Grandville. Pressure coming, down he goes. Lyman busting through. The junior shot out of a cannon. I mean, jump pass, caught Connolly. He's got the speed. He had 2 returns last year against Caledonia. Easton Sadinsky. Touchdown, Grandville. Dogs back on top. Brings the pressure, and down he goes. It's Braylon Haney on the sack. Shut down. Reed Graverson and Garrett Naraki. To Jaden Terry again. Easy touchdown. Jaden with his second of the night.
welcome to MGN on Michigan Sports Radio. Hello. Welcome to the program. What are you laughing about? This is DAWGS Plus, a podcast primarily about Grandville football. We really struggled planning the show today and what we were going to talk about. Yeah, so we're going to get into it.
Okay.
Unfortunately, not that we would ever do bits on this show, of course.
No.
But there was some bits that didn't work out because we couldn't find what we needed. Mostly the plan today is to not get a call from the MHSAA tomorrow. That's the plan for today's show.
Okay.
Nate and Chandler, by the way, if you don't know who we are. We have a great show lined up. Lincoln Schachermeyer, Grandville senior captain guard, will be our first Captain's Corner interview. So excited to have him on for the show and on the pregame show. Make sure, of course, Bennett Center Farmers Insurance Agency, however that shows up, however that would be, in Wyoming. You all have seen the ads, know how to get there. Bennett, of course, and Farmers' longtime supporter. They make this happen. At MI Game Night on social media is where you find us, and where I was borderline on edge on some comments on Instagram of certain posts. Normally I don't like wearing hats on this show, but
No.
I just was kind of, I
really
felt
like that.
I know I felt
that-
it.
Is that available on the MGN
It
shop?
it should be,
Okay.
Honestly, I'll put a G on it.
Okay.
Not going to say what I was going to say. It protects you from being spotted 4 yards in the wrong location.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
That's what it does. It isn't for the electromagnetic waves or whatever, yeah.
Proper spotting device.
I know, I had to learn how to make, which actually would probably surprise some people that know me. I didn't already own one of these.
Yeah.
I'm not a conspiracy guy. Not conspiracies when they're all right. Okay, we're off to a flying start on this week's program. We're going to send it now. One more note, PSA. I got some feedback last week on inside jokes made on this show, and people didn't know why we were laughing.
Yes.
Would like to apologize. We won't do that again. So I'm just going to pocket it. Every time I have one, make notes. And
It's a real shame.
it is. So we'll just make notes. I'll have them probably for a speech coming up in May or June?
Yeah, no, I don't think so, but
Okay.
you can
Lincoln Schachermeyer on the program. Let's go. Hello, everyone. Welcome back here to Game Night. Welcome to our first edition of this 2025 season of Captain's Corner. And it's a couple-year starter for the Bulldogs and a big piece of their offensive line, and a starter at left guard, Lincoln Schachermeyer. Now joins us here for the first time here on Game Night. Thanks for your time tonight, Lincoln, and how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure, and again, coming off, let's kind of start quite the trip out to Detroit for you guys last week to take on the number one team in the state. A game that goes to overtime. You're right there the whole time, and I think you guys really made an incredible statement about where this football team is, and the kinds of teams that certainly you're set to be able to compete with. I guess kind of tell us about the team's mindset, the positives, the momentum that you guys are able to take away and were able to take away from what still was, such a really, really strong performance against, maybe the best team on paper that the state of Michigan has to offer.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, I really think we proved a point, especially on that side of the state, that we're here to play. Coming out from the team standpoint, we showed that we're willing to stay in the game no matter what the score is, and we can play that long game. We won't back down, and we'll keep fighting throughout. So yeah, I think it just showed our toughness really.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, it was such a fun game throughout. With the effort that you guys put in, I think individually too. I have to say, like you looked at, the offense was able to really effectively move the ball. A big part of that, there were a couple highlights of some really good, impact blocks and pulls and stuff that you had, going on. I guess, individually for you to go up against a team that, as you know, has that much talent, that much size on the defensive line, and for the entire unit, including yourself, to really perform well. What does that do for the confidence to know that you guys and yourself were able to move the ball and win a lot of those matchups against a team like Cass Tech and the talent and the size they have in the trenches?
Yeah, I mean it's huge, really. I mean, think of those kids. All those kids are incredible athletes, and the fact that all of us could hold our own and be able to push through people and move that ball just opens up a lot, I think, for his offense, and shows that it doesn't matter who you put in front of us, we'll be able to make it work. So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for you as a player as well, a guy that we saw starting, a year ago, coming back into, your role at guard on this offense. What are some of the big things really this offseason that you felt that you worked on and you're now seeing the returns on, you think, in your game that really were focuses of where, you thought that you wanted to improve and, hopefully have been able to and will continue to throughout this season?
yeah, for sure. Big thing for me was maintaining size, which I ended up doing that very well, and I wanted to be better, especially in the alley, because I think last year it wasn't struggled with it, and this year I think I've been a lot better. Just I don't know, being more aggressive overall.
Yeah, and the T offense is really an interesting one in terms of offensive line play, and especially a guy that's playing guard, because when most people think of the T, they probably, their head goes to just big mashers on the offensive line and a completely power-based offense. But what I find, interesting a lot of times, you're a guy at guard that is, you're not a 300-pound, player, but that athleticism that's needed, that style of play, being able to move, being able to balance the speed and the power is big. Kind of take us through that in terms of that balance you try to find between power and speed and where the T offense is maybe a little bit different up front than what people may think it is.
Yeah, so definitely being smaller, I learned to adapt different ways to block people, because I think it's all about leverage. I'm not gonna be able to go head on head with some of these dudes. They're a lot bigger than me, so just learning how to stay low, and it's just finishing blocks is very important in this offense because it's very tight, very compact. So if you let your guy slip off you, they can make the tackle.
For sure, and the mental element as well on offensive line. I mean, you so oftentimes see guys that are offensive linemen wind up making some of the best, offensive coordinators and head coaches and so forth, going ahead. Take us through some of that mental aspect to playing on the offensive line and take everyone through, because essentially if you're on the offensive line, it's the one position that you have to be able to identify everything, going on the field along with, the quarterback. So take us through also the mental chess match that you feel like you also have to play in terms of IDing things up front.
Yeah, so especially running the wing T, all line is extremely important. Everyone has a different job every play. Whether you're pulling to get a linebacker, whether you're trapping a D lineman, or whether you just have the guy head up on you, it's very important to get those backside guys. Yeah, it's very finicky. I'd say it's like super. Oh, how do I put it? Oh, it's complicated for sure, to say the least.
No, it definitely is. I mean, we hear that we hear that all the time from guys that play in the power T of what they hear out of that system. The next level for you, looking at college. What are kind of some of your thoughts in terms of place you're looking at going to, what you want to study, or are you maybe looking at playing at the next level, or where are you at right now as you're just going to your senior year of high school?
Yeah, I've talked to a few colleges going into long snapping, at the D3 level. I plan on, in the end, going into kinesiology and go off to chiropractic school. So
That's no, that's really cool. To be able to hear that. That's another thing kind of want to talk about as well. Is we've seen you out for a couple years, but also a long snapper. So I mean, kind of take us through the mechanics of the practice and how you maybe split your time and what kind of goes into your base work as an offensive guard, but then also needing to work on special teams and kind of how you prepare for each going into a game.
oh yeah, for sure. I'd say it's a lot harder than people would think.
Mm-hmm.
I spend around 20 to 30 each practice, just different drills, perfecting it. Hard to balance that power and accuracy, making sure you get up there on time in a tight spiral while still being able to run down the field and make a tackle. So it's a lot harder than most people would think.
Yeah, definitely, for sure is. Let's kind of move ahead now. Take a look at this upcoming week, the rest of the season. First off, kind of big picture. Week to week, this is a team that, talking to Coach Stiegel before this season and everything, I think this team had a lot of returners, and I think both internal and external. There was some pressure and some expectations, which of course is a good thing. So take us kind of through week to week how much the team has kind of really been able to embrace some of that pressure, the expectations, and knowing that this is a team that I think is a special one and certainly should have a lot of confidence.
Yeah, so I think the newcomers have played a big part in their roles. It's like you would think that they've been in our class and they played last year with us. They were welcome in, and they all play extremely part role, and this whole team just wants it more than any team I've played for. So that's exciting.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, it's already just 2 weeks through the year. I mean, you can see it with each of those games. Like you said, the fight that you guys had against Cass Tech, the same thing can be said, of course, the fight against the Muskegon game, coming back in that one. I think, this is a team that people are starting to, if they weren't already, they're starting to take some notice of. Another team to take notice of, West Ottawa, who you traveled to this week. I mean, they have had a heck of a start to the year. 2 losses by a combined 7 points, had their Hail Mary loss last week, but on the whole, this looks like a very improved West Ottawa team that you guys have to go on the road for, and they're going to be hungry. They have some playmakers on both sides of the ball. What are kind of some of the keys in the mindset to going on the road and starting the OK Red play with a team that certainly looks like they have an ability to put up some points and play some defense?
Yeah, for sure. Going in the Red, extremely tough conference, so not taking any team lightly. And like how you said, they were hungry coming off, so are we. Just came off a big loss, so that's definitely going to fuel us going into this game. So we're just not taking them lightly in any way, and just another name on the schedule.
That's right. And of course, also interestingly, a team that is coming off of playing another T team last week. So, they're going to be well schooled, I think, heading in to this matchup. All right, Lincoln, thank you so much for your time tonight. And again, good luck to you and the rest of the guys on Friday. We'll be there, and certainly it's going to be a fun one to watch.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
All right, Lincoln Schachermeyer here on our first edition of Captain's Corner on Game Night. This broadcast is presented by Farmers Insurance, Bennett Center Agency in Wyoming. For all auto, home, specialty, life, and commercial insurance needs, see what a center can do for you. Call today at 616-980-4949 or visit at 2240 28th Street Southwest in Wyoming. Welcome back to DAWGS Plus. Nate and Chandler, thanks to Lincoln for coming on. Great interview to start off. Always, of course, enjoy being able to kind of talk to some of the guys in the mid part of the year, and especially kind of where we're at right now. And good to hear about, all right, here's where things are at after Friday night and going ahead for a team that I think still made a statement, despite the result maybe not quite being in the end what they wanted for the Bulldogs, and a lot of stuff behind that, of course. How should we go about this? I guess my plan, let's just kind of go quarter by quarter, break the game down, right, and then we're gonna talk about it after. Maybe. Depends on,
if it doesn't
again,
get cut.
the goal of today's program is to not get a call from the MHSAA tomorrow. So this is where there's haters out there that would claim that we are biased. Can you believe it?
That's ridiculous.
People have claimed that. Can you believe it? Today's program is one where we're going to prove that to not be the case. All right, here we go. So, on Friday, Grandville went to Cass Tech. We were there.
We were there.
What a process it was to get there, and we were there. We'll talk more in a second. I have more notes at the end here. I have more thoughts on different thoughts. So we made it. We got there. We were there. We did a game. All went off good. Let's talk about the game. First quarter, Grandville gets the football. They go right down the field. Just right down the field. Jaden scores. Then, onside kick. Guess what? Vasquez gets it himself. Then they have the ball again. And then the rest of the quarter, all of them again.
Still the ball.
Still the ball. That lasts into the next quarter and whatever. So the first quarter could not have gone any more perfect, and we learned right away in that sequence that they physically up front were going to be able to compete with this top team in the state, and game plan-wise, things went to plan. Thoughts? That was a question.
Yeah, that was a question.
Question statement.
Okay, question statement.
Question statement.
No, I agree with that question statement. I think the thing going into the game was you felt pretty confident about the Bulldogs offense going against a Cass Tech defense. It's just the old, kind of cliche of a West Side team with a unique offense going against an East Side team that doesn't see something like that. So kind of going into it, you're feeling pretty good about the offense, but good to see those questions, if there were some, answered right away, that even though the Technicians had some size and some big guys along that defensive line, that the Bulldogs offense and their offensive line was able to move them and confuse them enough that they were going to be able to move the football, and did so very effectively. And the bigger question going into it, at least I think on our end, was how's the Bulldogs defense going to hold up against the Cass Tech offense? Well, what better way to do that? What better way to do that than not let them see the field? And so, controlled the ball for the entirety of the first quarter, thanks in part to a long touchdown drive, the onside kick, and then another long part of another long drive in that first quarter. And so, could not have gone better, as you said. I think that's exactly the way they wanted the game to start off, and we can kind of go into what happened from there.
Yeah, it'd be second quarter, so it winds up being 7-6 at the half. Cass Tech scored on kind of a very quick drive, run down the field, and kind of the start of them being able to spread formations, especially to run the ball really, really effectively. Grandville offense kind of stalls. Obviously, it stalled for the first time. This will be something we'll talk about inside the 10-yard line. There's a lot of things that we have to get to in terms of breaking it down and what was really good, what wasn't, what was not inside their control. I think the coaching staff for the first time, the offense stalling inside the 10-yard line 3 times, if you count overtime, certainly will be part of that factor. At the end of the half, I don't even know what happened. Cass Tech gets the ball, and then they spiked it, but they spiked it to create fourth down.
They did, yeah.
And then they punted it. And then the officials decided that they were normal. I've watched football a lot of times. If that ball lands down to like 11 seconds, and there's a host of one-color jersey around it, they blow it dead. Seen that happen before. That didn't happen, and they're pushing each other in green jerseys off. And then whatever one of the edge rushers touches it up, and then we go to the half, and it's 7-6 game. So at the half, that's where it is. I don't really know. I mean, it kind of just was what it was at that point in time. Do you have any profound thoughts about the second quarter then at that point? Or
I think
all your thoughts are profound.
They all, of course, yes. Only profound thoughts over here. No, the Cass Tech offense got going right away. I mean, they got the ball at the 2-yard line and able to pretty much march right down the field, a bunch of chunk runs right down the field, even though they didn't see it for the entirety of the first quarter. They were able to kind of find a rhythm right away, their one scoring drive. I think we'll break that down more too, but mistakes on both sides. I think that drive by Cass Tech, they were moving the ball again, it looked like, and had a nice play, kind of got the drive going, and then, just a mental mistake to spike the ball to get to fourth down, and you could see the coaching staff not happy about that. So the Bulldogs maybe dodging bullet there to get the ball back, and nothing too crazy other than that. I mean, 7-6 game at the break there, and a game we were expecting largely to be a shootout, and the second half was a little bit more of that, but defensive battle a little bit in the first half, thanks in part to some ball control.
Yeah, third quarter, winds up being more back and forth. Cass Tech long drive down the field, Julian Taylor, who would ultimately be our player of the game from the winning team. I mean, I think the losing team probably had the player of the game, but we typically choose it from the team that wins. Ohio State fans would put an asterisk when I keep saying win.
Yeah.
I didn't say that, MHSAA. But, third quarter then, I mean, really, this whole game comes down to, the opportunistic moments. Jaden breaks off the big run, they get it tight within a score, and then a fumble, and you have to score off that, and DJ Hardiman goes for our, the call of the night like we posted the other day. So that really is where things change, and now Grandville back on the front foot, and the second that this team gets on the front foot, everything changes, and now it feels like with the offense rolling, we'll see this into the fourth quarter, they're going to be in a position to get to that final possession. So really you can clump the third and the fourth quarter until the final 11 seconds kind of into, or at least that final drive, really into one thing where Grandville opportunistically gets in front, and then from there, they're able to control the game. And when they're in front, they were controlling the game against Cass Tech.
Yeah, they were, and that's something we didn't know going into it, if they were going to be able to do it. And Cass Tech, the reigning state champs, and a lot of hype again, and they were very good on Friday night as well. But I think you kind of walk away from it and saying the Bulldogs held their own for the majority of the game, especially once they got that turnover and kind of able to get right back in the game. And once they're in it within that one score, or even playing with the lead, they can kind of manipulate the game enough that with the ball control and the way their offense was rolling, that they're in it, they're going to have a shot at the end. And then it came down to the last couple plays. But
so now game is tied at 28. Grandville gets the football, and they operate a legitimately perfect drive down the field. The only way it could have been more perfect, I guess, is if they had just scored on one play. Ultimately, they're before this end of situation thing happens. I think at this point in time, everyone's got a pretty good sense of what happened. I think we live time we're trying to figure it out. We're next to the Grandville coach's booth, and everyone's trying to figure out things are getting spotted late and moved here and moved there. And was able to kind of check with coach a little bit too. And I think everyone now knows that the issue was that the Grandville's kicker didn't have his mouth guard in. I've been doing high school football for a long time. I don't know if this is a point of emphasis from the MHSAA, because I heard from another MSR broadcaster at the Catholic Central game that this happened to them as well. You see this happen, and typically it's put it in. Rather than wait for the ball to be snapped, then do it, and then have the Cass Tech JV team that's running the chains run back and forth and not know where the ball is to be spotted, and no one knows who's eligible or who's not. And then there's not a timeout remaining because Grandville, again, was playing this clock game perfectly. And then you're forced to throw something up because now the last second gets moved back and whatever. I would not levy any criticism if you were going to, in this, I would not levy 1 ounce of criticism to the Grandville coaching staff for what happened at the end of that game. I think it was almost exclusively things that were out of their control, and even if you want to say they should have done one thing or the other differently, it's really hard to when you don't know what the penalty's for, who's eligible, or where the ball and where the first down is.
Yeah.
I'll stop.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think we'll just get into it. That all game long, it was a bit of an adventure, for one. I can just speak from, I'm doing stats during the game, and
they're within 40%.
Yeah,
that's all we know.
Typically, between looking at the down and distance and based on the officials and the scoreboard and everything, it's a pretty clean operation to figure out generally how many yards and keep I feel like pretty confident stats. I was struggling all night long. I know that because I thought the ball would be one place, and then all of a sudden it wasn't.
And son of a gun, it was a lottery, but yet somehow the lottery just kept getting won.
Yeah.
Time and time again. 2 yards needed here. Oh, there's the 2 yards back. All of a sudden, 3rd and 4. And then it's like you have a play call set, and you come out, and then all of a sudden the ball gets spotted as you're running up to the line of scrimmage. The ball is getting spotted further back. So now your play call is probably wrong for that moment.
Yeah. No, I think it makes it really difficult when
it sure does
when you're playing against a team like that, especially. But Coach Stiegel is very intricate with his play calls and setting things up, and it's very determined by down and distance and exactly what you need for those situations. So when the ball's kind of fluctuating and you're taking half the play clock to figure out where the ball is even going to be, and now you got to get your play call on. It just kind of throws a wrench in the whole operation and can slow things down a little bit that way. And I think that was a battle that was going on probably most of the game, and it kind of culminated at the end there, definitely. But I think that was something we had noticed prior even to that last end of game sequence.
So before we touch on all of this more to some extent, and again, we're not going to harp on it. We're on West Ottawa, that like whatever. Again, what we will say is, and this is what I'm sure the coaching staff to some extent had for the players, was including overtime, you had 3 chances. Now, we're going to get to this because what we were just saying is somewhat related, but you have 3 chances, including overtime inside the 10-yard line, combined 0 points, plus you think of the drive that goes all the way down the field at the end of the fourth there. You don't come away with points in that. So at the end of the day, 2 parts. There was a chance to win that, execution, I guess, at that regard, you can say was better for Cass Tech. And at the same time, though, the statement was made. It took all of what we just said and are about to say. It took all of that for Cass Tech to beat Grandville, after Grandville also had to travel 3 hours. And I heard that the trip was a bit of a adventure at like the stop and stretch point and different things as well that I was hearing some of. So apparently it was about as much of an adventure for them as it was for us during that day. So yeah, it was an adventure of the day, and it took all of that for Grandville to lose to Cass Tech. That's a huge, huge statement, and it's a loss that I think is a better loss than anyone else had a win on that Friday night in West Michigan.
Yeah, I think we're probably going to hear more about that later. No, I think as much of a positive as you can have coming off from a loss. I mean, it's by most standards the best team in the state in Division I, probably the best team in general. And so the fact that the Bulldogs were in it, you can walk away from it and see there was some chances to capitalize that just didn't come together. There were some things that didn't break their way, and so a tough one. It's kind of that heartbreak that they felt last year. I mean, we compared it so much to the Pickerington North game last year, and so maybe a little different because it's in state and some of the players and stuff like that. But I mean, very similar feeling where it's a game they were in. I think we talked about this on a ride where we maybe should have been recording the podcast.
We should have just done it. We had 3 hours. We were trying to find a restaurant. Everything's closed the whole way until you got to a truck stop past Lansing. Just everything's closed.
Yep.
It was an adventure.
Yeah. So one of the talking points on that ride was just that this game even felt more than the Pick North game last year. Like the Bulldogs controlled it, like they were in it. I mean, it was a close loss in Ohio last year, but that was a game they were kind of chasing it the whole time. And there again, things didn't go their way. But this is one that, like they kind of pushed around Cass Tech offensively, were able to move the ball defensively, got a stop or two, forced a turnover, had the chance at the end. This was a game that they had every right to they would have deserved the win if they had got it, so to speak. And so I think definitely a lot of positives to take away from that. Of course, we can break down, some more of the stuff that didn't go their way that led to, you never know what happens. But if you capitalize on some of those opportunities, it's a different ball game, no doubt.
All right. We already kind of really touched on most of and I should have said this when hang on. Everything, we are responsible for our own statements. Nothing said on this program is a reflection of the Grandville Bulldogs football coaching staff, athletic administration, I'd say fans, but probably not, or Michigan Sports Radio or the MHSAA. So I just want
disclaimer,
that for everything said during this show, more than ever before. This is why we haven't just fully sold out to become a team associated like Bulldogs Radio or something, because yeah. So we talk about the ball spots, which again were just heinous. I've seen, dude, I know where I've been doing football for a long time, not to brag at this point in time. And listen, at high school, it's off by a yard all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. So there aren't hash marks. First off, we're playing in the U.S. Open second cut, which is crazy. We walked out there crazy.
It was squishy. Yeah.
Longest grass I've ever seen in my life. And we don't have hash marks. And apparently I heard that they get new, like, it isn't a resource thing, of course. Mm-hmm. It's that they like that. Right. And it's, the kind of their advantage, which, listen, I like grass surfaces like that. And it got to do whatever. Listen, one team's going up against Jaden Terry. I would do anything in my power to slow down Jaden Terry, too. Mm-hmm. Like, it is what it is. And Grandville, they also learned that they're also going up against DJ Hardiman and a ton of other speed that they, again, nothing better, digression, than when an East Side team gets to see a fullback trap for the first time. And then there were about 4 straight quick hitter fullback runs in a row where it was just 15 yards a pop. Uh-huh. And they had no idea. They were stacking 11 in the box. Like, they had Sadler as the high safety, and he's like 6 yards off the line of scrimmage. And there was nothing they could do about it. Nothing. So yeah. I mean, how many times, listen to the broadcast. Just go back and listen to our broadcast, and the amount of times that I would say that'll be 3rd and 3 or 4, and then it was 3rd and 6. And I'm just like, okay. So that was crazy. And again, I saw, the Cass Tech JV team was running the chains. So when you saw them blanking around and whatever, Okay, now we're going to do a thought experiment, okay?
Okay, let's do
a thought experiment. Let's say I am reaching out for something, okay? Let's say I have an object in my hand. Here's my water bottle. It's kind of ball-shaped. So let's say I'm reaching out for something, okay? And I have to cross something with
the object?
With the object, okay? And let's say my hands are like in front of my face or above my head, okay?
Yeah.
Let's say I'm diving for this imaginary line. Let's say it's kind of like even with the bottom of this TV, okay? And let's say my arms are extended, okay? And let's say my shoulders wind up like right there, okay? And then people pile on top of me so you can't see, but you were able to clearly see my shoulders get right there with the ball pushed out. Mm-hmm. This is the goal. Would you assume that object crossed that plane?
I would assume it probably
That's the end of what we're talking about. We're going to talk about our day a little bit. We're going to talk about things.
Okay.
Just in case you all were wondering how much we love you all and what we do to make this happen. There was great work behind the scenes to actually get us in. Now, what I learned was there's another organization that was there. That's kind of a newer one. They have unlimited resources. They were doing the game. They did a great broadcast. They did. We thank all of you that still listen to us because there were still pretty good numbers. Some of you may have noticed that the game was on YouTube. That ain't going to happen again. That was a one-time thing that we decided to do, and I think the broadcasts are going to show up, by the way, on the Grandville Huddle TV page now. But the YouTube thing, like I said, there were some changes with our streaming provider. We were kind of testing things. It won't be on there again. It was we got clarification on something. But it will be on the Grandville Huddle TV. You can watch our broadcast along, just like the clean feed will be there still and whatever, but ours will also be there from now on. So that's neat. So Cass Tech's press box. I wasn't going to talk about this, but I'm rolling. Yeah. Cass Tech's press box is not the biggest, but it's big enough.
I'd say so.
It has coach's box either side, and then probably 5 seats on the administration side, and then probably about a good 4 or 5 seats in the media side. So in theory, with high school sports, how they work. The away, 2 seats per broadcaster and whatever, works out, right? Right? You'd think. I am going to be the last person to ever knock someone for trying to do a really good production that has the budget behind it. I will say our focus is to typically try to be when we go somewhere, we are the first to volunteer to be outside,
especially if we aren't home or away radio. We're the first to volunteer to be outside. We don't set up cameras. We just use huddle cams. We are as unintensive. I think we do a good job. We bought a new soundboard that's like the size of my phone, darn near. Like we take up as little room as possible. Just knowing our light burned out. Whatever. We're gonna keep rolling.
Show goes on.
So this is a sign to stop talking. Is what this is.
No, keep going.
But okay, they took up every seat. For those that were there, and you're wondering, geez, they're struggling on the video or the scoreboard. Yes, because the whole staff got kicked out of the press box so that they could have 12 people running a switcher. The broadcast had 2 guys, and they each had a spotter. Never seen that before. It's crazy. And again, we found a good place. When we showed up where they were going to put us on the roof, they were going to put us, we wouldn't be able to see. We brought our own table. We know how to travel like this, and it's fine. We're low-key. I think it actually, outside, we got great audio. It was fun. I have 0 complaints. It was a beautiful night. But I'm just saying, like, it was insane.
It was.
It was. That's all I'm saying. And I know they did everything in their power to block us from coming. They weren't happy when we were there. The best thing that happened all night long was when their little, I'm going to tell everyone this. So we got our banner out, right? The favorite part of the whole night is they're putting out their little paper QR codes. Because despite the fact that they have the budget for 12 people to do the game, they don't have banners.
Here we go.
And they got a little paper with the QR code on it to watch their game. This dude is like putting it on our banner. I'm like looking, and he then looks at us and like moves. Like, what are you doing?
Put some hard work into putting that banner up too.
That
was my pregame assignment.
No, you did a good job of that.
He liked my spot so much that I felt like it should be in the same.
No, you handled that well. I think that's about it, right? Trying to think. Got out of there better than I was expecting with the Tigers game. Found out the Tigers game was going on. That made me concerned. Fireworks, as you may all know, we are not either of us Tigers fans, so saw the fireworks going off. I'm like, oh, that made the day better. Actually, as you also may all know, we are Bears and Vikings fans, and we are shooting this at 6:45 on Monday night. So of all the times that our relationship has been strained, today is probably the most strained it's almost ever been.
We're about to go at it.
We're going to take a break. We're going to come back, and we're going to talk about the West Stato game, of which, talking to strained relationships, you're not going to be there. You got yourself fired for Friday.
I did.
Or something.
Something like that.
Something like
that. You got
that.
a replacement, I've heard.
Yeah, we do. Aiden Lynch will be joining me. Chandler had something else pre-planned, so he will be missing his chance to call a game from West Stato for the first time.
I know.
So it's actually really your loss.
It is. It really is.
So we'll be doing video coverage of that, and then unfortunately he'll be back for the following week at Caledonia, which
at Caledonia?
No one knows. I think it's at TK still. Who knows? All right, we'll be back. This broadcast is presented by Farmers Insurance, Bennett Center Agency in Wyoming. For all auto, home, specialty, life, and commercial insurance needs, see what a center can do for you. Call today at 616-980-4949 or visit at 2240 28th Street Southwest in Wyoming. All right, let's keep it rolling. We've moved the light now so that it's, blocking this, but at least kind of lighting us up, like whatever. Yeah. Hopefully the audio works better this week too. We've changed some things. I had another audio. For the amount of money and technology I've spent on audio throughout the years and how good the broadcasts sound, for some reason, the studio show, which should be 10 times easier to get the audio right, has sucked for 4 years. And I can't figure it out. We've gone through everything, so this should be better, I'm hoping. Grandville, West Ottawa. Friday, 6:30, as we just mentioned. One of us, at least, will be there. And the one, unfortunately, that everyone probably doesn't want to be there. And, yeah, so we're missing your insight, but you're going to give it right now. Ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
So here we go. We're going to be lost without you. I promise. I promise.
There's a chance I can listen in and, I can phone in some thoughts if that's something you would like. Just throwing it out there, but.
I don't know if you're going to be in a state in which I want your thoughts on the broadcast.
Okay.
Is that a fair?
We'll have to find out.
We'll find out. West Ottawa preview. So the Panthers 0-2 to start the year now. They have lost 2 games by a combined 7 points.
Mm-hmm.
As of now, everyone's seen what happened last Friday. A narrow loss to Zealand West. Of course, they lose on that crazy Hail Mary at the end. They were up for a lot. They were down, big drive, take the lead, get the ball back, go down the field, kick a field goal, and then have that happen to them. But this is a West Ottawa team. We'll talk about some of the details on them, but they've been building. We've been waiting to see the pieces come together for Coach Pat Collins since he got there, and I think this is a year where I think we can say that some of that young talent, still sophomores and juniors in most cases, are starting to get there. And I do think this team is, I think this is going to be a team that's going to pick up a couple of wins in the OK Red, and I think they may even factor for a playoff spot. Just, again, starting 0-2 isn't great with those 2 losses they had with the schedule coming, but I do think that this team is legitimately starting to look like the mold of what we expected the Pat Collins Panthers to look like.
Yeah, definitely. They've got some players and kind of starting to make that turnaround, even though they haven't got a win yet. And looking at the schedule, Grandville this week, of course, Hudsonville next week. So you're talking about a team that has played really good football against some good teams. There's a chance it could be 0-4 potentially. You never know. But yeah, it's been a tough schedule for them to start. But they've got the pieces starting to look a little bit like they're making the turnaround. A team that's looking to exceed 4 wins for the first time since 2018. They made the playoffs in there, with a 4-win season. But it's kind of been a slow turnaround for them, but I think they're on the right track now and definitely looking like they can be a threat. And, for a few years in there was one of the teams in the OK Red that was not winning a lot of games. And they're looking like one that now, even with some of the top-end talent that they have, they could sneak up and with the way they're playing, could beat a lot of different teams.
Yeah, this is a creative pass-first spread offense. They're very willing to throw the ball around. They're willing to kind of motion guys, pitch it to guys, get creative out on the edges, speed and space, those sort of notions. 3 wide receivers and a tight end that typically is a more athletic wing that can also get downfield and can beat you, so you have to keep an eye on that. Zone running in between the tackles, a little bit of outside that, with the defense spread out, they'll go to. What it comes down to, though, is they've moved Abel Anaya, who we saw as a receiver last year. He's a quarterback. I didn't know he could sling it like that.
Yeah.
If you go, Michigan Sports Radio had their broadcast, of course, last week with Zealand West, but if you go to their huddle page, the first clip from last week is him slinging this 50-yarder down the left side to Ronnie Ferguson, who's their speedy slot guy that we saw last year as well. They are not afraid to throw the football down. They can nickel and dime you some with, RPO and, that run game, but they are not afraid to get down the field as well. So, again, Grandville should be healthier. We forgot to talk about that, how Grandville's banged up in the secondary on top of all of that last week. Grandville should be healthier in the secondary this week. That'll be really big, but this is a team, if you're prepping for having to beat East Kentwood and Rockford in a few weeks, this is a team that has all of those makings, depth of talent, a really talented quarterback.
Mm-hmm. A lot of the same elements, no doubt, and one that's going to present a little different challenge, of course. Just coming off the Cass Tech game, and so some real stars there, and now a West Ottawa team that's also got some true playmakers out there, and kind of looking a little bit more like the Blake Bosma Panthers from years back. Of course, different coaching staff now, but they used to throw the ball around quite a bit, and looks like they're able to do so now. They can throw it, and a quarterback that is really good in the pocket. Yeah, for looks like a natural quarterback for not having played that position a lot, and can make some deep throws down the field as well. It's not just the short game, so can get out of the pocket, move a little bit. They've got the weapons and the slot guys and the tight ends, as you hit on, that they can get down the field and have some vertical threat in there as well.
Yeah, this isn't the pistol option creative offense team that they were last year, where they were really shorthanded and changing things up when Grandville saw them. This is very much, if you watch Pat Collins at Montague, where he won a couple state championships, this is more of what he wants to do, slinging the football around and how they're lining the offense up. Jeremiah Edwards, really good. Bigger running back, reminds you a lot of, they've been very blessed, like Grandville, they've had some great running back talent the last few years, and he's next in line. Caleb Montgomery is a change of pace, pretty good offensive line, but I think that's where Grandville's best chance, similar to Cass Tech, is going to be. I think Anaya can move if you flush him, but I think Grandville's main defensive weapon is going to, in a lot of cases, be getting home up front. I think Grandville will be able to, off the edge, get home a little bit against this offensive line, and if they're able to do that and they're able to get Anaya off sequence and out of that kind of RPO, play action, pass game stuff that they like to do, that's where Grandville's defense is going to be able to win and start to look more like what we've expected. Again, they've played such tough teams, but put together the performance that I think everyone's expecting to see. Again, the talking point, got to look more like last year in the playoffs and last year the first couple weeks of the year. Time to turn that around.
Yeah, no doubt. I think this is where we'll get to learn a lot about exactly that pass rush attack a little bit as far as the first week of the season against Muskegon. Didn't throw the ball a lot, and that's a unique offense. You don't really get to rush the passer last week. Just a really tough test, and a team that really didn't throw the ball a ton even for the talent that they had. So we expect West Ottawa to throw the ball quite a bit, and so you get a chance against an OK Red team to kind of show what they've got as far as that defensive line, and Coach Zenner as well, bringing some different pressures you have to imagine as well to move the quarterback out of the pocket a little bit and make him uncomfortable. And I think that's a part of their game defensively that we haven't seen a ton yet, but definitely has a lot of potential. And of course, getting those guys in the secondary on the back end to kind of help hold things up is going to help a ton.
Yeah, certainly is going to. Other side of the ball, the question is Elijah Reynolds, their 3-star linebacker, going to Central. I believe he may have been hurt last week. So they, again, and this is a talking point, they get to see a T one week. They get to see a very similar T to Grandville's the week before they see the Bulldogs. And so we know what they kind of looked like, what they want to shift their defense to. Kind of a hybrid 5-4-2 or 5-4-2, 4-5-2. Typically, though, had 2 high safeties. They were pretty tight, not overly high like some teams run, but typically 2 high safeties, everyone else, and then kind of they would change some pressures off the end. I mean, at this point in time, it's a team that knows how to play Grandville. It's a team that knows how to stop the T. I think they're led by really good linebacker talent. Not necessarily the biggest linebacker talent, but the really good linebackers that can get to the ball pretty well. So I think Grandville might be one of those games. You never know. I feel like we're wrong on this a lot, but might be one of those games where it kind of turns into popping them 4 or 5 yards at a time, consistently grinding the ball, then breaking the dam, like what it was last week a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with the athletic linebackers that West Ottawa have can, it's definitely built to help stop the T as well. And you've got guys that can move and shed some blocks, and it's not always necessarily strictly the size that when you're looking at how they can try to stop the attack. But I think, overlooked a little bit is the fact that they are back-to-back weeks facing the T and what is still a good Zeeland West offense, and held them to essentially 21 points until a Hail Mary, what is even a T? Hail Mary? We don't really know. But either way, held them to 21.
A fullback trap.
Yeah, same thing. Held them to 21 points, and so I think for the Panther side of it, that's kind of a positive that they're getting to see that in back-to-back weeks. It's essentially, there's always going to be different slight variations, as we've talked about in the past, between Zeeland West and Grandville, but it's a lot of the same cues in the keys for the defense. So getting to kind of have a 2-week prep for that essentially is going to be in their benefit.
Yeah, for sure. They did, Zeeland West, by the way, cease and desist. They stole the single wing for goal line play. So they had run like that kind of like shotgun T thing the last couple years, direct snap, Wildcat thing. They were running essentially just more of a single wing. So we saw Grandville run that a couple of years ago. So yeah, no, that's setting up Grandville versus West Ottawa, 6:30 Friday night. Radio coverage again. It'll be the setup where it will have the in the booth cam and some different features and stuff going on. Aiden will be stepping in. I'm actually excited. I think Aiden's gonna do a really good job filling in for His Highness because I think. He played football, so I think that's probably a good first point. So I'm excited. He's good. Like I said, you'll be seeing some of Aiden, some of Sam Hungerford this winter. We're going to announce some of our winter coverage stuff coming up here because it'll be a lot, and it's going to be a lot of different things. So this winter is going to be absolute chaos all the time. But for now, this is, I think it'll be a good game. Excited to go to West Ottawa for the first time. I actually am kind of bummed for you that you don't get to go to that press box and whatever, because just the way the schedules worked, we have not done a game there yet in 3 years. So I guess sorry about it.
Yeah, maybe some other day.
Yeah, maybe. All right, let's move into this week's top 10 list, and let's get out of here. Chandler, we'll let you start. Mine will be correct, so we'll start here with yours.
All right, we'll start at 10. I got Northview, 9 Rockford, 8 Mona Shores, 7 West Catholic, 6 East Kentwood. That's the big mover for me this week. I had them, I believe, 10 last week. Really impressive win for them. Bumps them up a few spots, and I'll explain in a second why I've got them there. But 5 Unity Christian, 4 Zeeland West, 3 Grand Rapids Catholic Central, 2 Grandville. I'm leaving them there, even coming off the loss. We'll hear your thoughts in a second. And
I dropped them out of mine.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
I must have missed that update. And I'm leaving Hudsonville at 1 yet. Just some thoughts on the OK Red. I think East Kentwood shows that they're for real. Yeah. I was a little hesitant on that. I think they're showing that they can be a top team in the OK Red. We'll see exactly where. My only thought for having them 6 and not higher is I've got 2 teams in the OK Red at 1 and 2 that I think are still kind of that top tier, that Hudsonville, Grandville, and then not that East Kentwood's not going to win a bunch of games, but theoretically, if they're the 3rd best team in the OK Red, I'm just going to leave them there, even though those matchups are probably going to be big time coming up. So
yeah, no, certainly is. I think, again, just a reminder, these rankings are not necessarily head-to-head. It's about relative to division, including some head-to-head. We kind of try to make it whatever. So that's why GRCC, deservedly so far up with the way they've started the year. I think we're kind of going to learn with Zeeland West. I think if West Ottawa plays Grandville close, I think Zeeland West maybe gets moved up even more and solidifies their position if West Ottawa continues to prove they're for real. Unity Christian, under the radar, like that. I think the X factor is Mona Shores. They've played a tough schedule. Mm-hmm. They lose week 1. How good is that team? I really don't actually have any notes. That's mostly fine.
Okay.
So,
you'll allow it?
Yeah, I'll allow it.
All right.
All right, here we go. So, here is my list. Are you ready for my list?
So ready.
So at 10, I put Caledonia, 2-0, a couple big offensive performances. I'm a believer in the OK Red. So I just told everyone that it's not necessarily head-to-head or relative to division, and I'm a believer in the OK Red. I have 4 teams in the OK Red. So yeah. 9 Lowell. They keep winning big. EGR then went and had a blowout win this week after they blew them out week 1. So I do think Lowell is physical. I think they're good. West Catholic, same reasons you said. Unity Christian, kind of what I was saying. Sleeper team, really good. Zeeland West at 6 again. Don't want to punish them too much for West Ottawa before but I think I have other teams that I wanted to get ahead of them, including Grand Rapids Catholic Central, who've been impressive with a couple of tough games against teams we don't necessarily know about, but who knows. Mona Shores, again, they rebound with a good win, a physical win. I think you're going to find as the year goes on that's a team that they might go 8-1. I think they're really talented. I think they're really good, and to physically beat River Rouge like that's a good win. And then I just have the top of the OK Red, because I do think those 3 teams have kind of separated themselves. 3 East Kentwood, 2 Hudsonville, and I said it earlier in the show, and I don't care. I believe that Grandville's loss, the way it happened, subjectively, was more impressive of a loss than anyone else had a win on last Friday. Mm-hmm. Just given all the circumstances, so I'm leaving them at 1. I think it's more than fair. I think it was, given everything, I think it was a loss that, no one else has played a Cass Tech yet in West Michigan. So everyone else has, beat each other where it's kind of relative, like, oh, how good are they? Mm-hmm. It's kind of thing. It's like, well, here's the mercenary going to play in the Oakmont Rough, and, there you go.
Uh-huh.
There you go.
Okay.
So that's where I got it. So teams that didn't make the list then are probably what people's wondering.
Who would that be?
So Northview has won twice, and people may be saying, oh, you got West Catholic above them. Yep, I do. Again, relative, like whatever. Yeah. So that's kind of Northview not there yet. They should probably be a thing. Essentially, I got Lowell instead of them right now, like whatever. which again, is that right? Who knows? So I've got 4 teams from the OK Red. My 14 from the OK Red, probably not the same as anyone else at this point in time, but wins matter. Wins and losses matter.
Yeah.
I would never put a team above where they should be because they didn't win the games.
Right.
Right?
Heavily based on the record.
Heavily.
Yeah.
All I care about is wins. That's all that matters. So at the end of the day, Rockford did lose week 1. They aren't 2-0, and pretty much everyone else above them on my list, as you can see, is 2-0.
Uh-huh.
So that's why they've been left off for the
Okay.
time being. So wins matter. And that's why Rockford's off. And of course, yeah.
Yep. I follow the logic, I
It's
think.
a great list.
Yeah.
It's the correct list.
I'm sure nobody has any issues with
No,
that list.
none.
Yeah.
There's no... Yeah. It's a great list, I think.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're gonna... Yeah, no, I'm not gonna do that to you.
What are you going to do to me?
No, I mean, your defense of Grandville 1, I mean, it turned out to work in your favor. That worked out.
Yep.
Now, am I going to tell the people that going into the game, you said you were doing it either way?
I said, and I quote, if they keep it within 2 scores, that's more impressive
Okay.
than anything else.
That's what it
Not
was.
only did they keep it within 2 scores, they... We will see you all next week.